So I don't know if you guys know who James Gunn is, but you certainly know his movies. From writing Scooby-Doo to making both Guardians of the Galaxy and The Suicide Squad, Gunn's become a fan favorite director known for taking wacky concepts that should work in a big screen and yet making them work. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. We all know how funny, dark, and incredible Gunn's films are. What's not talked about as much is the way he uses comedy to bring out the emotions the characters have in his movies. What makes Gunn's way of conveying emotion so effective to the viewer? Now, comedic films have the most powerful way of gut-punching your emotions for various reasons. Comedy brings out emotions, as in happy emotions, something we feel for. Now, what happens if you start to feel sad in short succession? You're high off those emotions, which makes you feel a greater effect. This is easier said than done, but the best kind of films are the one that can make you laugh, but then through the emotional weight can carry a true meaning towards a film. With that crash course over, I think we should start with the film that everybody knows Gunn for. I have talked over the years about how Guardians Volume 1 is the film that got me more into watching movies, which led me to where I am today. However, that reason was a mystery for a couple years for me. On the surface, it's just another MCU film with the action and the humor. I mean, the Avengers had all that, so what made Guardians different for me? Well, it's a film about finding your place in the world and learning to connect with others who could not be more different from you. And the film sets that precedence from the opening scene. You are literally in Peter Quill's shoes as you watch your own mother die and you feel the in denial pain he's feeling. This effectively sets up Peter Quill as a character and why, for example, his Walkman is so important to him. It's crazy how a whole playlist of music can act as a character in of itself. And it's not just Peter who is tragic. Drax lost his family, Gamora's in a toxic relationship, and Rocket is the victim of human experimentation. And this is where the third act comes in. Groot sacrificing himself is alone to make people cry, but for me, it's this scene. It's a scene where everybody comes together and fights through their traumas. Gunn has a whole payoff to begin in the movie where Peter can't take his mother's hand, and this time he embraces it and the whole entire team shares that. This scene is not just badass, but represents something in us to overcome our mistakes and instead become better. A lesson that carried me through my teenage years. It helped me realize that it's okay to go the wrong path in life in order to find the right one. And that's why this movie had such a big impact on me. I became an instant fan and I was super excited to see where Gunn would go with these characters. Guardians Volume 2 is a movie that has grown on me so much over the years. It was not the movie I indirectly expected at the time, but it's a movie I've grown to love as much as the original. Gunn says fuck the MCU formula and makes a hangout movie that built entirely upon everything from the first movie. It's cool to see a blockbuster that focuses more on character moments than a huge CGI spectacle, even though we get a lot more absurdity on that front. But again, it's how the film uses that to bring out the emotion. This time it's a movie about abandonment and longing for someone to love you. Peter goes a whole movie trying to reconnect with his father, who he thinks is ego, when really it's Yondu who was there all along for him. And when the third act happens, so much comes to the surface. Peter sacrifices great power in order to be like others, and of course, Yondu saving Peter by giving up his own life. This is one of the only movies to have ever made me cry, and yes, not even Endgame with Iron Man dying made me cry. It's such a beautifully acted, shot, and scored moment that the entire film leads to this tragic moment. It builds to a moment where sometimes the person you've been searching for your entire life has been there this entire time. I love the MCU and how it's influenced my imagination, but the Guardians films feel different in how thematically powerful they are. And then Gunn decides to show that outside the MCU playground he built. Remember when Gunn got canceled for a bit there? Well, we got the Suicide Squad from that. Gunn making an R-rated Suicide Squad movie sounded insane, and the movie surpassed my expectations in ways I never expected. It's a bloody fun time with its almost uncomfortable humor and the visual style it carries. Then Gunn flips the script as it really explores the hidden traumas of the characters, how King Shark just wants a friend, how Bloodsport accepts his role as leader, and how Ratcatcher is the heart of the movie. Ratcatcher is the one character in the movie who isn't there for a horrible crime and instead brings her humanity out by saving a day with her connection to her father. It's really beautiful to witness, and again, Gunn is a really strong visual storyteller in bringing out character emotion. The Suicide Squad is one of my favorite comic book movies in years, and it's so amazing to see Gunn bringing something new to the genre. Which is funny because the character Peacemaker is the most morally complicated and the one that's the most irredeemable of the bunch. How does Gunn explore him? Where did you think this was heading? Peacemaker is the funniest thing I've seen in TV in so long. So far, it's funny, has great characters, and even packs a great mystery to it. But then there's a deconstruction of characters like Peacemaker and even Vigilante that's giving the most shocking depth to it. Peacemaker is someone who on the surface has a dumb strict code and wears a toilet for a helmet, and yet he's a really tragic character who grew up in the worst environment possible. Now the show does this by exploring how his childhood was shaped by his own father forcing hate and neglectment onto him. It takes the wackiest character who does questionable things and yet makes us feel empathetic towards him. It takes Peacemaker's biggest moment in the Suicide Squad, which was killing Rick Flag, and turns it into a theme of regret for the character. And episode 4 has one of the most heartbreaking things I've seen in so long. Like in this whole montage, no words are said, everything's conveyed on screen, and it nearly brought me to tears. If Peacemaker continues at the pace it is, we're having a conversation for one of the best comic book shows, period. And that's what I love about James Gunn. The way he can write characters that can make us laugh, but also make them feel for them. Gunn is super talented, and the way he keeps showing this has to put him in conversation for one of the best genre directors working today. Gunn has had such a big impact for me, from getting me more into movies, to making me expand my music taste, to make me feel for characters I would never expect to feel for. Guardians Volume 3 is coming in a year, and at this point, I'm expecting something profound because we should not be doubting him anymore. James Gunn is the master of pulling emotions to the viewers, and at this point, we should realize that. Alright guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I had a great time talking about James Gunn and his whole career. If you guys enjoyed this video, please give me a subscribe, like the video, click on the notification bell for alerts and brand new videos, and comment below, tell me what you guys thought of the video. Anyways, I'll catch you guys in the next video.